At the end, flip back to the chat to ask questions, but throughout the presentation, you can just stick with YouTube. And then when you switch it over to the Q&A at the end, then you can switch back to the chat tab. So if you just keep that tab open handy for the end, we'll flip back over to that. Can you just let me know if it is working through the YouTube link? If everybody's all set there, we'll get started. So the general format for today is that I'm going to present a bunch of things that inFlow can do for you, how to do some things in inFlow, and then at the end I'm going to flip over to using inFlow Cloud, and I can demo anything you'd like to see and try to answer any questions you have about the software. So to start, if you are able to flip back to the chat, it's going to get everybody to introduce themselves. Tell me a little bit more about what you do. What's your inventory challenge? What are you looking to use inFlow for? And then we can hopefully try to cover some of that in our link. All right, so unfortunately, I'm seeing in the chat, it is still redirecting to YouTube. So you're right, you will unfortunately need to watch it through YouTube directly. So some things we're going to cover today that inFlow can do. inFlow can get you the answer to these sorts of questions, like how much does each customer owe you? Which customers have made you the most profit? What products do you need to reorder right now? How many do you have? Where are your products? What orders do you need to be shipping out right now? So we're going to cover how to create invoices in inFlow, how to send customer statements that give a history of when they paid for things, what they still owe you, and how to get insights out of inFlow into your top customers that make you the most money, buy the most stuff from you, which items sell best and make you the most profit. And of course, with inventory, you want to know where your stock is, when you need to reorder, how much you have. I know that the chat's not working, so if you are able to flip over and let me know who you are, where you work, what sort of industry you're part of, that'd be awesome, but I understand it's a little bit tricky to switch back and forth between the chat and the YouTube. So if you want to stick in YouTube, that's all right. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about me before we get started. My name's Cassandra. I've been working on the customer support team for about 3 years now, so I know inFlow pretty well, but feel free to ask me any questions at the end, and I'll do my best. If there is anything that stumps me, I'll get back to you by email. I coordinate our volunteer days at the company, and for some reason, I seem to always make us work with dirt. So this is from our last one, but in the past, we've also worked with compost, mulched a children's yard. I don't mean to, but I seem to always get the team dirty. This is from our website. If you've checked it out, you might recognize it. This is my one and only modeling gig. I am person taking a phone order on the website. For those of you who can't see the video, you should be able to click through to get to the YouTube link. And this last picture is my dog being a model. As a couple of friends, we made her into a calendar girl. Okay, a couple people are getting through YouTube. So do follow the YouTube redirect link. That should get you access to the slides in the video. So again, that last picture there is just my dog in a bikini. It's a photo project that some of my friends did. So you'll see that I'm a little bit of a crazy dog person because I set up a store in inFlow that has dog products. Here's a quick tour of how you're going to use inFlow. So from the left to the right, this is sort of the general flow of how your inventory comes in and out of inFlow. So from the left, you'd be buying from your vendor through a purchase order. That's going to go into your inventory to increase your stock levels. and then it's going to go out through the sales order. That's how it's going to subtract your stock levels. So sales to the customer. So those are sort of the main things you need to do on a regular basis. You'll find on the home page here. And then there's some shortcuts on the right-hand side to the dashboard, reports, settings, and import. Some quick things you might need to get to. If you need more detail, you're going to have to go to the main menus. That's that little black bar in the top left corner. It's called the hamburger menu because it looks like a patty sandwiched between two buns. If you click on that top little black icon, it's going to bring up the main menu. And that's going to give you access to lots more stuff that you can't find on the home page. So for example, if we go main menu inventory, we get access to things like the count sheets, adjust stock. Those are things you can't get to from the home page. So the things you might not need access to as often, but when you do, they're there in the main menu. Through inFlow, you can create invoices, quotes, and more. These screens are showing you how you can add your own logo, add your company information with address, any contact information you want to show up on the invoices or the quotes. You'd put into this screen, which is under main menu, options, print settings, and inFlow. And if there's any text you want to always appear on a document, on that right-hand side, under sales doc, I've got note that we offer a 15-day return policy. So if you have anything like that or payment information you want to have on all of your invoices, you'd be able to just add it there and it's going to show up on all of your documents. And then down in the bottom left, I've got our templates tab. That's where you can customize it to look and match your branding. So in my case, I put my little dog house icon and I changed the font and the colors to match my branding. So that makes it look a lot more professional. If you haven't had a chance to do that, it really makes a difference. The next screen we're looking at here is your dashboard in inFlow. This is a really quick glance at a lot of data going on in your inventory. In the bottom right corner, that field is, you can toggle it to get different information. So right now I'm seeing my top 5 customers with the highest profit. So I know which customers are making me the most money. I can flip it over and I can also see things like my top 5 products that have the highest total profit or highest quantity available. So maybe I want to put those things on sale. So you can toggle that to get more information. You'll also see in the outstanding field there any orders you haven't actually shipped out yet or purchase orders you're waiting on, how many products you need to actually reorder. So it's a really quick glance at what's going on with your inventory. If you need to see deeper than that quick glance, you're going to want to look at the reports in inFlow. And there are reports under sales, purchasing, and inventory categories. So depending on what kind of information you're looking for, you'll go to one of those categories. And in order to actually get more out of the reports, there's a little button with 2 arrows that says more. You can see it in my picture on the bottom left there. If you click on that, it's going to expand and give you options for which columns you want to display, whether you want to sort information by one thing versus another. And then you can also filter things at the top. So this is an inventory details report that I'm looking at here, and it's for my dog business. So I'm looking at all products in the Barkerton warehouse. I've filtered that product's location. And then I have a custom field in my database for dog size. So I had a customer come in, wants something for her small dog, so I can filter to just see what I have available for small dogs. And then I have a category of toys. So you can filter in those ways to just get products relating to the filter categories. And then you can also choose which columns to display and how to sort the information. So those are some of the options for reports. All the reports look a bit different in terms of what information is available. And custom fields you add are pretty widely available on all of the reports. So one of the really handy reports is the stock reordering report because it tells you what you should reorder and why. So it's basically going to give you information on how many of each product you own, how many you've already put an order into your supplier for, and how many inFlow thinks you're going to have based on sales orders you've created but that haven't actually gone out yet. So it knows these sales orders are going to take up the things you own, so you should probably reorder this many. So you'd be able to see that through the stock reordering report. And the reports can be printed off, or they can also be saved as Excel files if you wanted to further tweak them and get more information out of them. You can also see a report on how much cash you should have. This is the customer payment details report. So it can tell you, if you track it in inFlow, how someone paid for something. So for example, I could filter all of my stuff to show just the payment method of cash. And then at the end of the day, I'd also filter it to the payment date of today. And at the end of the day, I'd see how much cash I should actually have. I can also see things like what I need to ship out. So I do that one through this sales order operational report. That's going to allow me to see requested ship date of this week. And if I filter it to just show inventory statuses of unfulfilled and started, then I'll be able to see everything that hasn't fully gone out that was supposed to go out this week. And I'll know what to work on. So of course, everyone wants to make tax season easy. inFlow has a sales tax report, so you can see how much sales tax you've collected over the tax year. So you'd want to filter it by invoice date for that year, and that's one of the options. And you can also set custom date ranges for the reports. So you get options like this month, last month, or this year, last year, or you can choose, June 2016 to June 2017 as a custom date. And that's under that invoice date filter you see. In my screenshot, I've just got it showing all. So that's where you would click the drop down to change the date. You can also keep track of what your customers owe you. So in the customer screen in inFlow, which is the screenshot towards the bottom left there, you've got it. I've highlighted there the balance that this customer is owing me. And then also I can choose to print or email, and that's going to bring up this customer statement screenshot you see towards the right-hand side. This way I can actually send the customer, and it's going to include all of the transactions, payments they've made, orders that they haven't, and it's going to give a total of what's due based on what they have paid and what they haven't. So maybe if they do a deposit, that could show up as a payment they had made. And then I also have the option to sort this one by a specific date. So the little date field at the bottom there, I could choose something like, I only want to actually show them the transactions since the last statement I did. So that's an option you'd have there. You can send that off by email or print it to let your customer see a statement of their history. The other thing we can do is view the current stock screen in inFlow. We can view this by location. In this screenshot, I don't have sublocation turned on, but that's another thing you can have where you can actually see exactly what aisle or row or bin a product is in. In this case, this is being sorted by item name, but I could also sort it by the quantity field. So it would show me all of the zeros first, or the highest product quantities first. So you can just click on the item column headers to sort things up and down on most screens in inFlow like this. You can also see your products on the go with inFlow Cloud. So I've got screenshots from our inFlow Cloud for Android and inFlow Cloud for web products. These are both really companion apps for inFlow Cloud. The primary thing they can do is show you your product details and your stock levels. They're not able to do orders right now, so you'd have to get most of the functionality out of inFlow Cloud for Windows. But all of the data you enter there is going to sync across these clients, so all the information is the same. You can invite your whole team to join in. You would do this through the web app under Manage My Account. In this case, I've got team members, Cassandra, Mark, and Tim, that have been added. And myself and Tim are administrators, and Mark's not, but we're all part of the team, which means we can all see the same data. All we have to do is log in whichever computer we want to use. We have inFlow Cloud for Windows installed. We log in with our email address and our password, and then we get access to all of the data that's been entered in our shared database. And that's hosted online. So if I go somewhere else, download inFlow Cloud for Windows, all I have to do is just sign in with my information and all my data is going to be there. You can keep employees doing certain actions in inFlow by restricting what they have access to. So for example, Mark here, he's not able to do work orders. So if you see beside work order, those boxes have been unticked, so he doesn't have permission to do those things. All the things that are checked off, he can do, and I've restricted some things for him. So that can also be done through the web portal. If you wanted to just have your salespeople having access to sales orders, for example, maybe they only have access to view and edit those things. So it just depends what you need to set up for your business. I'm just going to run through now how you get all of that stuff out of inFlow. So you have to be entering data about what's coming and what's going for inFlow to get all those sorts of insights. So first thing most people want to do is create their products in inFlow. So from the home page on the left there, if you just hover over inventory, you can click on new product, or if you just click directly on inventory, that's also going to open the new product screen for you. And then on the right, I've got a new product screen. Those little red exclamation marks in inFlow, those are telling you that those are mandatory fields. So you can't save something until you've filled in what's beside those little red exclamation marks. In this case, at the bottom there, I've got my custom information. I added dog size, so I could sort products from being for small, medium, or large dogs. And then also assembly. So I make some bundles for subscription boxes for dogs. So I take a small toy, a small treat, a small puzzle toy, and together that makes a bundle. So that's what the assembly is. It's for whether it's a raw material or a finished product. And that will allow me to really quickly see in my inventory list what finished products I have and what assembled products I have. On this extra info tab, so if you can see at the bottom, it's just I've toggled from product info to extra info. This is where I can add stuff like a barcode, reorder points. So once it dips below that point, I'd be able to, it'd recommend that I reorder. And then if I always want to store my products in a certain location, I can set a default location and sublocation so that when I get them back in stock, they go to that location. Same with the last vendor. As soon as I order something from a vendor, it's going to fill in the last vendor name, and inFlow is going to think that you want to keep reordering from that vendor until that changes. So if I choose to buy this product in the toolbar at the top, it's going to go with my last vendor. All right, so purchase orders. This is how you actually get your inventory into inFlow and how inFlow knows what things cost you. So you can either go through the main menu there under purchasing, new purchase order, or you can also do it from the home page. When you actually do a purchase order, you're going to have to fill in the vendor name or it won't let you save. It can generate a purchase order number for you in the top right corner, or if you'd like to set up your own, you can also manually type it in. And then you can either do one-click fulfillment by clicking that fulfilled button at the bottom, or you can individually fulfill the items. So I added 3 different products and different quantities and prices to this order. I can just click fulfill and pay to finish everything up, or I can actually manually add things to the receive tab at the bottom. or I can click the dots beside the product item name. So this is the Receive tab where I can either scan items in with a barcode scanner, or I can manually click and type, or I can also click that autofill button you see there, the autofill will do a direct copy of what was on the purchase. And then if you received less, you could just manually change the quantity. So if I autofilled, it'd copy exactly what I ordered. And then I might just adjust the quantity to say, actually, I only got 16 of the small. And then inFlow will update from there. So in that case, what if a vendor does short ship you? How do you handle that in inFlow? So you can, as I said, you could autofill it and then just change that top row to 16. And you can make a little note in the remarks section. The remarks directly correspond to what tab you're on. So this is a unique remark for the Receive tab versus there's also a remarks field on the Purchase tab. And that's going to correspond with the documents related to receiving. So in this case, I'll leave them a little note letting them know we didn't quite get enough. And then I can choose to print or email a receiving note. So that's going to be a document that shows up. And whatever comments I put on that tab is going to show up as a remark here. And I can choose to email, save, or print that. And then if I did receive less than I ordered, inFlow is also going to split it into an extra line. So the 4 that I'm missing are now showing up at that top row, and it's an open, the circle beside it is not filled in. So that's inFlow's symbol for ordered but not received. Whereas the symbols below are filled in, that means it's received. So it's a completed circle there. And then the other thing is that the status at the top is just started, whereas if I had got everything, the status would be fulfilled. So you can really easily search your purchase orders to see which have a status of unfulfilled or started. And that's going to tell you all the orders you're waiting on that you haven't completely got yet. So here's how that looks in inFlow. I'm looking at the purchase order list instead of the individual purchase order screen, and I've filtered it to see unfulfilled and started orders. And I see my one order there where I haven't quite received everything I ordered, so it's going to show up. And then you can double click from this list to open the individual record. All right, so what if you're a manufacturer or you make kits and you need to assemble stuff? You can do that with inFlow through the work order feature. So you can either get to that again through the main menu, or you can also do it from the home page as well by just toggling over inventory. So how to actually assemble things in inFlow, you're going to have to make the bill of materials. So that's the tab I've got showing here. So what we do, we'd make the finished product as a product in inFlow, and then we'd also make all of the component items as products in inFlow. So in this case, I'm making a July subscription box for small dogs. So I'm going to put all of the small things for them. So the small treats and the small toys. So I add those products to my bill of materials for the finished subscription box product. And then it's going to show me at the very bottom the total cost based on what each of those items cost me. And then to actually make inFlow subtract the items, we're going to have to do a work order. So from the bill of materials screen, if we go back, you can click that create work order button at the bottom there, and that's going to launch this work order screen. Or you can also do it from the home page or the main menu. You can start a new work order. So in this case, I'm making 5 of those subscription boxes. So I need 5 of all of my components that go into it. And the work order is going to subtract those component items, and it's going to add 5 of the finished boxes to my inventory once I choose to save and fulfill this order. So sales orders, those are how we actually are going to subtract our products from inFlow as they go out to our customers. So again, we can do that through the homepage or through the main menu. If you did want to turn on shipping because you want to track that in inFlow, it's going to be that on the right-hand side there, I've highlighted the little add shipping link. Otherwise, this looks much the same as the purchase order, where we've got our customer name at the top and then our items we're selling to them. And again, we can either do that quick one-time fulfillment by clicking fulfill and mark paid, or we can individually show that we've sent out items. So for example, if you didn't have everything you needed to ship and you actually sent it as 2 shipments, you might choose to show some of it sent but not the rest. So this screen is with shipping turned on. So that little link has now become the shipping address field. And then there's some other things that get added when you turn shipping on. Across the bottom, we now have a pick and ship tab, so we can track those parts of the process. And then we also have a freight field underneath subtotal. So if you want to charge your customer for shipping, you could fill that out in the in the freight tab there. And that's going to add to the balance they owe you. You can also set payment terms. That's that terms field near the top, and just below that a PO number. So if they sent you a PO, you can fill it in there. And then you can mark items as picked or shipped, or if you're not tracking shipping, you would just mark them as fulfilled. So in this picture, we've got the second item has been fully picked and shipped, so it's a filled in circle. And then the top item has just been picked, so that's why it's half filled in. And then if it was just ordered, it would just be an empty circle. We'd just see the outline. With the sales order, you can choose the print or email button at the top, and it looks similar to the other screens. And depending on where you are in the process, inFlow will automatically select one of those documents. So if they paid, it defaults to the receipt. But you can also just click to select any of them. And there's also a little checkbox you can't see until you mouse over it. But if you need multiple documents printed at the same time, for example, you might want the invoice and the pick list, so you could check those both off to print them both at once. All right, and it's always a good idea to make sure that what you actually have in inventory matches what the system thinks you have. So you can do that with count sheets. And the way you do that, you can either add items by location. So for example, in this case, I wanted to count everything at my Barkerton warehouse. So I added items by location and I chose Barkerton warehouse. So it filled in everything it thinks I have at my Barkerton warehouse. Then I chose to start counting and it filled in the system quantities. And then at that point, that's when I start entering in manually or with a scanner. You can scan into the screen as well. What I actually counted that I have in case that's different. And then at the end, I would complete and adjust so inFlow can be updated to reflect what I actually have in my warehouse. And with count sheets, it's a good idea to make sure that you're not doing other transactions while you're counting things. You kind of want to do it after hours so that you don't count something twice accidentally. You can also transfer stock between your locations in inFlow through the transfer stock screen. So that's under the main menu. In this case, I'm transferring one product from my Barkerton warehouse to my Wolfersville warehouse. So I would just do save on this, and then there's an option to send the transfer to subtract it out of your first location. And then you'd also have to click receive transfer, which I haven't done yet here, in order to actually add it to the other location. Okay, so you can set a reorder point to make sure inFlow knows how many you want to have in stock. In this case, I've chosen 15. So as soon as I have 14, inFlow is going to recommend that I reorder. And you'd see that through the reorder window or through the reorder report. So this is the reorder window and how that looks. It's under main menu, inventory, reorder stock. So here's all the items inFlow thinks I should be reordering. So I'm seeing how many it thinks I'm going to have under current anticipated quantity, what my reorder point is, and how many it's suggesting I reorder. And in some cases, it's missing a vendor. That's because I haven't actually ordered that product yet. You can customize inFlow in some ways. On the left-hand side, we have custom fields you can add. And you can see there I've got the dog size as a custom field under product. And if you toggle those tabs, there's some custom fields you can add for other screens in inFlow as well. And then you can also check off whether or not you want them to print. So that means on the documents. So for example, if you added a custom field to your sales order, you would check off beside it whether or not you want it to print, and then it will or will not show up on the invoice depending on what you picked. So that could be used if you just want to see something internally. You might choose to leave it unchecked so it doesn't actually print for the customer. And then on the right-hand side, we've got some settings you can do. You can rename fields. So for example, some people use inFlow and they say things to me like, but I don't actually have any customers. So in their case, sometimes they're tracking the department that's using the inventory. So they might rename customer to be department, or they might be tracking inventory that their technicians use. And they might want to know how much stuff each technician is using. So they can change customer to technician, and then they'll be able to see sales reports will actually be technician reports of what a technician has used in a certain amount of time. So you can do various renaming in inFlow to make it more suit your needs. You could rename the sales order screen to be inventory usage or something that's more relevant to you. And this is where you do that. Okay, so for retailers, one thing you can do if you don't care to track individual customers and records and names and contact information, you could just create a one customer. It could be called walk-in or it could be called customer, whatever you like. If you only have one customer in the system, inFlow is just going to default fill it in for you, so you don't have to select a customer every time. So that's just going to make checking out easier. Or if you're using inFlow for a different purpose and you don't care to track customer, you just want to track usage, then you could also just create one generic customer name and inFlow will just automatically fill that in if it's the only customer you have. And then in a retail situation, you could also just print or email their receipt off. So you've got the option at the bottom, depending whether you pick print or email, but you can get to both from the same screen. It's just clicking that little arrow to get print or email at the bottom there. Okay, barcoding. So a lot of people ask us about barcoding with inFlow. So inFlow itself doesn't create barcodes. If you already have products that have barcodes on them, you can likely use those with inFlow. And in that case, you're just going to have to tell inFlow which barcode matches each product. Once it knows that, you'll be able to just go ahead and scan onto various records in inFlow. If you don't have your own barcodes already on products, you may have to make your own. You can do that with a barcode font. So if you make your own labels through something like Word, you just change the barcode number to be a barcoding font. And we have one that we've made that's called Archon Code 39. And I can send everybody a link afterwards with where to download that font. And then if you go with if you want to get a label printer, the Dymo barcode printers come with software and stickers to actually make your own barcodes as well. And you can also buy UPCs if you want that barcode to be recognizable outside your internal operation. Like if you want to be able to send it to someone and have that actually in a database. And then again, on the extra info tab is where you'd actually add the barcode to the product. Once you've got it in there, you'd be able to scan it into the sales orders screen, for example, or the count sheet, as I mentioned. Okay, I know we're sort of having to flip back and forth between the YouTube channel and the Webinar Jam chat, But if you could let me know, what's your favorite color? It sounds like it's unrelated, but there's actually a reason we're asking for this. Mine personally is probably a turquoise or teal color, but I'm curious to hear what you guys think. So the reason we're asking is we sell rainbow colored scanners in all of these colors. And we also have a free book on barcoding that you can download. We sell it on Amazon through a Kindle ebook, but you can also get it for free if you go to barcoding.inflowinventory.com, and I will send that link as well. I'll follow up with a bunch of resources after the webinar. Okay, so I've been talking about inFlow Cloud this whole time. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the pricing and the different plans that are available. So we have the Essentials plan, the Advanced plan, and the Enterprise plan. If you're a manufacturer where you want to use that work order feature I mentioned to build a finished product out of raw materials, then you're going to need the Advanced plan, or if you need to track serial numbers. So generally that's for electronics. If you need to know exactly what instance of a product you sold to a customer for warranty reasons, that would also be the Advanced plan. And then if you had a lot of team members, you may want the Enterprise plan. But otherwise, if those don't apply to you, you'd probably be fine with the Essentials plan, which is $39 a month. Advanced is going to be $79 a month. If you sign up to pay annually instead of monthly, you also save 10% off of the fee. Okay, so a little bit more about our scanners we have here. You just have to plug it in and it works. It installs its own driver right away. It basically just acts like a little mini keyboard where when you scan something, it just enters it in. And these scanners can scan any 1D barcodes. There's also automatic scanning where you can set it up so just as soon as it detects the barcode, it just scans it. And it comes in all of those 7 beautiful colors, and it's been 10-foot drop tested. So we're actually going to give away a free barcode scanner for the first 5 subscribers today. So if you decide inFlow Cloud is a good fit for you, you go ahead and subscribe today. We'll be giving out free scanners for the first 5 people. So that's an option. If you do go ahead and subscribe as a result of the webinar, if you just email me at success@inflowinventory.com, then I will get you hooked up with a free scanner. So you'll also want to email me that you did subscribe and also which color you would like, and then I'll be able to send that out. So Cloud also comes with ongoing support and updates. We're actively working on adding more functionality to it. And you also get support from these lovely people who will pore over your tickets until you have a solution. Although we do each have our own laptops. We do collaborate. And don't just take it from me. We also have customer testimonials on our websites for how inFlow has really made a difference in their businesses. And then also, if you just Google inFlow inventory reviews, you'll probably find the website Capterra, which has a ton of reviews people have given us in terms of pros and cons of using inFlow. So you can check out those, see what other people have to say about the software as well. All right, so I'm just going to walk you through, if you do decide you'd like to subscribe, how you actually go about the subscription. So from our website, inflowinventory.com, you're going to go ahead and click on Login. And then once you're into your Cloud account, if you had been using inFlow Inventory previously, it's just going to ask you, do you want inFlow Cloud or inFlow Inventory? You'll click Cloud. It'll bring you here, and you're going to click on that little account icon there. And then it's going to have you choose whether you want the Essentials plan, the Advanced plan, or the Enterprise plan. So you would just click on that button there. And now I'm going to open it up for any questions you might have about using inFlow Cloud. I'm going to pull up inFlow Cloud so I can demo live anything you want to see. So I'm just going to flip over to that and just taking a look here at some questions we have. All right, so while you're doing that, I'm just going to flip over. And feel free to just type in any questions you have about inFlow Cloud, and then I'll answer those live and do a demo as well. All right, so someone asked, what's the difference between cloud and on-premise? So the main difference is that inFlow Cloud can be accessed from anywhere, whereas inFlow on-premise is really limited to just being on a local network. So that means if you wanted to be able to work from home, or if you have locations in other countries or other states or provinces, with inFlow Cloud, everybody can work together since the database is stored online. Whereas on-premise, you have to be at the same location. All right, so I also have someone asking if there's an iPhone app. So unfortunately for right now, there's just an Android app. iPhone app is definitely something we're considering. So if you are looking for that, it's great if we can hear your feedback on that, because that will drive when we develop that. And then I also have someone asking, does it sync with QuickBooks? So for right now, inFlow Cloud doesn't have an integration with QuickBooks, but that is something that's coming quite soon. So we are actively working on the inFlow QuickBooks integration, and then I've seen some previews from our developers, so it's well on its way, but it's probably going to be a little bit before it's actually released. So keep an eye out. Another question, can I use this for a retail shop in Africa? You can. We have some tips for retailers on our website. If you just go to inflowinventory.com and click on support and type in retail, you'll find a knowledge base article on some tips you've got for how to use it for retailers. And it's not meant to be a point of sale system, but we do have some tips for how to use it that way in that retailer article. And we definitely have people using inFlow around the world, so that's not a concern either. All right, was there any other questions or anything you'd like to see me show you in inFlow Cloud? I'm gonna just Cloud for Windows. So you can see it live here. And then, so this is where you would get the majority of your functionality, but there's also the web app. So this is my products through the web app. The web app's able to just, for this point, to see your products. The next thing coming up for web is the ability to edit products, but for now it's a view only option. And then there's also, I've got the Android app here as well. I'm just remote accessing the phone. So this is how it looks. I've got my product list. And for the Android app, you are able to actually edit information as well. So it's not limited to just viewing information. So for example, I could change my price here. And so that's how the Android app looks. Yeah, so someone asked if we can show how to transfer stock from one spot to to the other. So sure, I'm happy to do a transfer stock. So again, as I said, that would be under inventory, transfer stock. I can add by location, or I can individually add products. So in this case, I don't want to add everything from one location to another. I'm just going to choose a few that I want to transfer. So I would choose my products I want to transfer, and then I'm going to choose okay, so I'm transferring them from my Barkerton warehouse to my Wolfersville warehouse. And if I have a specific sublocation I want to put them in, I can do that as well. Or if I just have the generic locations, I would choose to save that. Then I have to choose to send transfer. So that's going to subtract it from my Barkerton warehouse. And then I have to also choose, once it's got there, to receive the transfer. And that's going to be, it's complete. It's going to now be in the Wolfersville warehouse. So I'm just going to go to that product and take a look. And so there we have my one that I had transferred to the Wolfersville warehouse. It's showing up there, a quantity of 1. And if I were to look at my movement history, I would also see stock transfer, send, and receive. So I know how it ended up there. Okay, so I've also got some questions how to use it as a retail POS. So some of the things you can do for, it's not really meant to be a point of sale system, but some tips we have, definitely set up the barcodes to make quick and easy scanning. Probably want to just create a standard walk-in customer so that as soon as you open a sales order, it's just going to automatically fill in walk-in customer. And then you can just start scanning things and then print or email the receipt from there. It doesn't print out a thermal receipt by default, though that is something you can do with custom documents. By default, it's going to print out on an 8.5 by 11 size page. The next question, can you show me how the barcode scanner removes or adds things into the inventory? So I don't have a scanner set up with it right now, but basically what I would do, from the product page, extra info, I would have to have filled in a barcode here, which I do have. I would then go to the sales order screen. I would click the first row, and I would scan the barcode. And so in this case, what I'll do, I'll just copy and paste the barcode. So this is essentially how it would look. So it adds the item. So in this case, all I did, I copied and pasted the barcode, but when you scan it, that's what would happen, and then it would translate to the actual item. All right, it looks like that's all the questions I have here. I'll do a little countdown in case there's anything else. All right, it looks like that's it. Thanks everyone for joining. I'll be sending you an email with some resources based on what we discussed. Email me at success, success, at inflowinventory.com if you did subscribe with your favorite color of scanner we offer, and we'll get you a free scanner sent. Is there anything else I can answer before I let everybody go? All right. All right. Thanks so much, everybody. I'll be in touch by email, and have a great day. Take care.